Welcome to Demo Day with Splat. My name is Splat, and Brett Taylor. And sorry, I'm trying to do a little Twitter update while I'm getting started here. Let everybody know that we are good to go and to join on in. And yeah, been I guess I did last week here in the new year. Sorry, I'm trying to type and talk at the same time. Um, Trying to just come up with all these things. Sorry, just still trying to type, talk at the same time, and it's not working out too well. Walk through the getting started tutorial. Superalgos. And yeah. Support small streamers. Support small streams. Hashtag Twitch. Crypto, man, cryptocurrency is misspelled so many times. I think that's it. Let's get it going. So what else do I want to do? I want to welcome everybody again. Tonight's beer is Nugget Nectar by Trogs. It is one of my absolute favorites. If you haven't had this before, it's a seasonal, comes out at the beginning of the year every year, right about this time. And it's a special version of their amber ale where they add more hops to it. So it's kind of like an amber IPA, 7.5% alcohol, and yeah, it has a nice amber color to it. I like it a lot better than their regular amber beer. And this is one of my favorite beers of all time. I think I gave it a 5 on Untapped. It's just absolutely delicious. Ranks right up there with Bell's Two Hearted Ale, in my opinion. And so let's crack it open and say cheers. Or as Mickey Mouse Clubhouse would say, if you've got ears, say cheers. Or we've got ears, say cheers. Oh, darn it, that's really annoying. So with this stream, I was going to share with you sorry, what was I saying? This stream, I downloaded a couple of mouse plugins so that you could hopefully see where I'm clicking, and also see where my mouse is when I'm moving it around, but you cannot see these things, unfortunately, on the stream. I guess the overlay isn't coming up because I'm only sharing a window, not sharing full screen. But I prefer to share just the window. But man, I'm a little bit annoyed that that's not showing up. That would have been really awesome if it could, because I thought that this was going to be a good chance to record a session of the Getting Started guide, Getting Started tutorial, and then really use this video as the base and trim and crop and, you know, whatever, edit it down and make it a really polished video for people to follow to get started with Superalgos. But I'll have to come up with a different strategy for doing that if you can't see these cool mouse highlights that I turned on. Which it doesn't look like you can. So anyway, I guess I can turn those off because they aren't working. So what was I gonna do? I was gonna walk you through how to get this running and started. Do the Getting Started tutorial. So I'm going to assume that you have read over the Getting Started guide here in the README and got everything installed and ready to go. And then I'm going to pick up. Let me get my my demo session going. But I'm gonna well, I guess I could I'll do it here. Let me update my code real quick. And then I need to node setup, no shortcuts, and start my min memo, no browser. And of course you can't see these things because I'm not sharing that window. But all of these commands that I'm running are right here in the Getting Started guide, the README. So where did I start, you may ask? The commands that I just ran are here. I went into my Superalgos directory. I ran node setup. And then I also added in the no shortcuts, which I think should be the default, and maybe one day I'll make it the default, but for now, it's not. Ran node setup, and then oh, this is new. Superalgos made a partnership with DEX. I didn't realize that there was this new VIP level stuff. Excuse me. Onboarding DEX. I didn't realize that was a new thing. But anyway, then I ran node platform to start up the application. And now I can go to the UI and load it in my browser. So anyway, what was all this about DEX? And a curated custom onboard experience for their customers in turn. Huh. Launch the platform for one of the partner exchange custom workspaces. Go run. Oh, okay, cool. An issue with the Sendex API may prevent the tutorial to run. Good to know. Am I in a, and maybe in a modified? So let's open up the base getting started tutorials workspace. My chat window. It does look like I've lost my chat window. Which there it is. All right, so here is the beginning of our tutorial. Let's go through this very quickly, or not too quickly. But you can see you have the buttons here at the bottom, and we just basically want to keep clicking next. And it'll walk you through all of these very basic things to get you acquainted with the UI and the basic workings of Superalgos. So if you want to change your language, this is the area that it's talking about. I'm going to stick with English. The software prefers Chrome or Safari. I am using Brave browser, which is based off of WebKit as far as I'm aware. And so it is very similar to Chrome and Safari, but it's not 100% the same. So if you run into issues and you are not running Chrome or Safari, one of the first things people are going to ask you in the support channel, in Telegram, and in Discord is to use Chrome or Safari first and then report back. So these tutorials come from these tutorial nodes, and that's basically what this is telling you. So if you happen to get out of this, you can always come back down to these tutorial nodes and click the play button to get started again, or resume. This is the expand collapse button. Click it and everything expands. So that's all that they're showing you there. I like that these kind of zoom you around the window without you having to do anything and having to find these things on your own. You can see that I have this whole thing blinking red, and I think this may go over this in the next slide or two here. Yep, here it is. So since I am operating this on a host that is not my local computer that I'm accessing it from, it wants me to edit this hostname value to the actual host name or IP address of the computer or server that is running this. And so in my case, I'm not running it on a Raspberry Pi. It's just a Linux server sitting actually directly in front of me. Excuse me. And so what I need to do is save using Control-Shift-Save. And you may have seen that a green bar popped up at the top here and said, tutorial saved. And then I'm gonna, I guess I didn't need to refresh. It just went ahead and finally connected. So now you can see that red circle is gone and I am connected via WebSockets. So everything's good to go now. This warning down here lets you know that you should most likely, not connect Superalgos to the public internet. You should hide it as much as possible and limit access to it physically. Because there is no authentication and no built-in encryption in Superalgos. So just be very mindful of how you are operating this, who you are giving access to, And there are ways to put other wrappers around it to operate it securely, but that is beyond the scope of a getting started guide. Kind of get some other tips in here about setting up remote hosts and things. You should read over these as you get time. And if you want to set up a reverse proxy, that's one way of enabling encryption. It gives you some information about how to set the settings. Mutual TLS is a really good option in that case for providing authentication and encryption. That reminds me, I keep meaning to do a video on enabling MTLS to run Superalgos, and I haven't gotten to that yet. So now we're going to learn about running a data mining task and then running a backtesting session. And then eventually we will have the option to do a live trading session just to demo that it does work and does actually trade live on a market when you have it all configured properly. So for me, I need to say Binance US. I'm going to make these edits to tell the system to use Binance US. And I'm going to save. Command Shift S again. And they have a nice little animation here showing you those steps that I just did myself. Setting the code name to Binance US. And then setting the name of the exchange itself to Binance US. This name up here is much more of a vanity thing. The main thing that matters is the code name down here. So now we can expand all these, and then in the console, you'll start seeing long messages coming through. So what we want to do is actually just from this node, well, any of these nodes actually, up at the front top here, so you can run all projects. And this button basically just turns on all the nodes below it. Same thing here, run all data tasks. Same thing here, run all data tasks. Same thing here, same thing here. But you can see if I were to click candles, it would not turn on the master's data tests. But running from this node will turn on all of them. Same thing with this split here. I click on this, run all tasks. Obviously, it'll do the raw data and the candles and volumes. But I can choose to just do one or the other, or do them manually, one at a time. Either way. But anyway, I want all of these to run. So I'm going to double click down at this node, and now we can see I have all of them running. First thing that happens is it has to get the raw data. And once all the raw data capture is done, then the candles and volumes will kick off. And then these resistance and supports have a dependency on the candles and volumes. And you can see it's waiting for my computer candles and volumes, multi-time frame market. This one's waiting for the multi-time frame daily. So they are chained together and they have a dependency between them. So as soon as sensor bot raw data stops, then the candles and volumes will kick off. And then the resistances and supports will kick off. And this takes a little bit of time. So while that's going, so this was just showing you that if you hadn't expanded, that now you can see that everything's running. It's going to take a couple minutes. And here it's telling you the same thing I just did, that the indicator bots will start as soon as the sensor bot has finished. And so I think now there's a little bit of information about getting around the UI. So you can see that I'm clicking and dragging with my left mouse button and able to move the window around. So now it's showing you that you can use control and the arrow keys, click and move. Pretty cool. And obviously on the Mac, everything's command, not control. So now to zoom out, you right click and it always takes you all the way out. And then you can left click to move back in and click and drag to move around. Sometimes it's a little funky trying to click and drag real quick, but most of the time it does pretty good. So right click to zoom out, left click to zoom in. Oh, native browser zoom function. Okay. If you want to zoom in or use the plus and minus. What this used to do, I guess somebody fixed it, is it would zoom out and you'd lose your where you were in the screen. That's not too bad. So to just telling you again how to get started, if you happen to close this, how to come back and start it up again. And again, you can click and go wherever you want. The data task node. So they want you to look at the help button, which takes you to the documentation page inside the application about that specific node. And keep in mind that there is a search bar at the top here. It lets you search for some pretty cool things. And I guess they're just pointing out that all these workspaces with the black background are the plugin workspace, and you see at the bottom here, plugin workspace. All these purple ones are the ones that I've saved. And so you see I have a getting started tutorials, but it is slightly modified from the base starting plugin version. Like I set the IP of the host. So your, excuse me, custom workspaces, and again, this is the tab over here on the left. You'll generally want to be searching for your purple ones. Unless you want to start over fresh, then load up the plugin workspace and go to town. And there you go, hitting Command Control Shift and the S key. Then make us to save a copy. So what did they want to show you? So just showing you all the different menu options. And talking about how you can add your own indicators and extend the data mines. Obviously, any contributions you make to the project, you can get tokens, Superalgos tokens for, essentially as payment, but more as kind of like a tip and a thank you for helping out. Still waiting, 38%. Oh geez, I'm getting 2 years of data. I didn't realize that this was set to get 2 years of data. I thought somebody updated this to get 2021. Guess not. So these tasks, again, if you're going through this, you should pay attention a lot more to the text. But these are essentially the runners. I believe that's what it's trying to tell you. I didn't read. And it's been a while since I've actually sat down and really read through these. These have been updated quite a bit since the last time that I actually used them. And no, I am not at 100% yet. So it's telling me to stop, but again, we are not 100%. We have a lot of data to go. So yeah, they're saying stop all again, same, exactly the reverse of the run all. It'll stop everything that's behind it. And telling you that if that it's pretty easy to corrupt the data. You want to make sure all of these tasks have actually stopped before you close the program at the console. And again, Control C closes it in the console. And we have charting space. So you can use the arrow keys here as they're describing. Control Shift and the arrows moves the bar. Left moves it up. Right moves it down. Up goes all the way up. Down goes all the way down. I thought there used to be one that would take it right to the center. Best way to move around in here is with the right click. And then shift and the arrow keys. The reason to right click is that if you can see my mouse is inside of this little chart window. I know there's no chart on it, but you can see if I left click, I'm only moving essentially the chart inside. If I right click, I can move the entire window around. Oh, and now they want you to, I think these, so how I just did, I guess that wasn't a part. This is supposed to be a part of the tutorial, and maybe it comes up after this. But I'll describe it right now. So what I did to change the shape of this window is I hover over it with my mouse, and then I hit Control Shift and A. And you can see that brings up a window because that's a browser hotkey also. But I zoomed all the way out, Command Control Shift A, and it resizes this chart to fit the window space. And then once you're all the way out and you've zoomed and you've reshaped it, you can double click on it to zoom in to this level, or double click again to get all the way in. And I think that'll come up shortly on the next, another window or two in the tutorial here, but what are they trying to tell me? Hover your mouse over the time machines. Are these them? Is that what they're talking about? Oh, I think they're just talking about this. How there's the exchange in the market. Oh, and then you can click and drag to resize these yourself. And here's the Control Shift. Oh, and they added an Alt because that's supposed to not interfere. Yep, so that didn't bring up the browser window. And then you can do it again. And boom, look, they're all reshaped. And if I shift and drag with my left, I can move the little window around. Hey, and that's what they were telling to do. So shift and click and drag. And now we can zoom all the way in or zoom out using our mouse wheel. And again, right click moves the entire window space. Left click will move you in the actual chart space. So now they're telling you double click once to get here, then click again to get all the way in. And here's the left click and drag in the chart space. Obviously, I don't have anything showing at the moment. But the arrow keys can also move you around. See where our, again, that hot button, keyboard combination is Control Shift and arrow up, arrow down, arrow up. I wanted to see, getting close, 80%. All right, so our candles are almost here. So now, up here on the top window, you can see my mouse is up at the date at the top. And you can see on the right, I can't get my mouse over it. Excuse me. There's an hourglass with kind of like a triangle, a right angle. I can't remember the actual woodworking or carpentry term. Square? A square. I think that's what it's called. But it has two arrows on the right-hand side on either side of that icon. So if I hold shift down and I zoom up, those arrows go away. Now, that means is I can adjust the scale any way I want. If I have the left arrow on, it kind of fits everything from the left side of the window. Right one does the other thing for the right side of the window. And when they're both on, that's going to try and fit the chart. Set the scale to fit the chart into the window as much as possible. So generally, this time one, you want to turn off all that auto fitting, and you'll want to be able to zoom in and out on specific dates as you see fit. The scale on the right would be the actual like value, the coin value. So this you'll generally want to leave as auto fit, auto scale. So your chart will automatically fit in the window as you're moving around and whatever. And they were saying that you can also do shift and the arrow keys. Or sorry, just the arrow keys, I think, to do the same thing. Oh, excuse me. Yep, and you can scroll your wheel or use your arrow keys. And the rate scale, you can do the same thing. And the, oh, there's my candles. And we're 94%. So I can show you over here as I zoom in and out as they're doing here in the image or in the GIF or whatever it is. Here's my time chart, zooming in and out. The candles. Anyway, time frames do the exact same thing, and they show you how to do it. And this is describing that it is possible to set different charts with different scales in the same space. So you can view things like oscillators and the candles at the same time on the same window in the same charting space. And they tell you how to set that with setting the layers. That's what you can do here. Zoom in and out. This is using your scroll wheel. The first layer manager to the left of this time machine features 3 layers. Ones. But anyway, you can just click and click. And there's my supports. There's my resistances. And I guess my candles are being calculated. Since my data process is still going on. Oh, there we go. Yep. So get new candles and volumes. And then we'll get new resistances and supports shortly. This, if you want to learn more about plotters and everything, you can jump in there. Yeah, these little overlay windows are very handy every once in a while. Generally, it can make the window very busy, so I try and keep as many turned off as possible. But when I want to see specific details, I'll turn them on. And here's the way that all these different charts and layers actually make their way into the charting space. Excuse me. And so you can modify this, add in different windows with different time frame scales and things like that. And when you want to add more indicators or modify the current indicators, you can do so up in the data mines. All these cool things. Here's where all those plotters live if you want to go and modify that. And now that our data should be done, almost still calculating. Then we can open up our new testing trading tasks. Go all the way over here. You can see there's a ton of different nodes. And we can edit our initial values for things like balance of the base asset, balance of the quoted asset, which in our case is USDT, and the base asset is BTC in this case. Then you'll want to set your time range for what day to start, what day to end. And this allows starting from the past. I wonder what that setting is. Haven't looked at that in a while. Let's see. Allow starting in combination with the parameters. A hack to allow a live session to start from the date in the past. If there is a valid initial date and allow for the passage true, then the live session effectively starts from the specified date in the past. Okay. Don't quite understand that. I'll have to read more about that later. And this is telling you about running a cluster or a farm so that you can run multiple different strategies or markets or exchanges or however you want to, break things up. TensorFlow and machine learning is, I believe, still in the works, but I believe a lot of it does work. But your mileage may vary. And things are always under development, so check back often. So I can't launch my backtesting session yet because I'm still waiting for, here we go, resistances and supports to finish. And you would see, oh, I guess I can go ahead and try. If I click run, first you start on this task. You wait for this yellow text to show up. And then you can hit start on the backtesting session. And we should get a message saying that it needs the resistances and supports to finish before it runs. But maybe not. Maybe it'll just go. Nope. Waiting for data mining. But we have more waiting. Well, that's cool. Got all our candle data now. I'll zoom out of the 1 hour. You can see zooming out makes things move a little bit quicker. Less things. Oh, and you can see how my candles went out of the window here because I left the scale off of automatic in there. And now I've got it set back to both the bottom and the upper will scale automatically. So as I scroll across time, the charting space will actually change to keep all the candles in the window. And here they are describing so yeah, if you are unfamiliar with trading as I was when I started, definitely read up on all these different terms. I'm familiar with them. Generally the things that you need to start out with are setting your base asset. Generally you'll start with 0, I would say, when you're starting out. Your quoted asset is what you're going to actually begin trading with, and you'll have started. And just like in this case, 1,000 USDT. We set the time range to do a single day in September of 2020. And your time frame, as I said, orders are placed, canceled every minute, thus 1 minute is appropriate. So this time frame, we would set 0-1 min, or you wanted to try and set an order every 15 minutes, set it to the 15-minute. Oh, okay, good. Bill, thanks for attending. What he just said, which I think some of it got cut off. For anyone watching and curious, machine learning works to the extent of building several model and loss function types using all the available data products produced at your mines, etc. It was halted at the point prior to being able to access your predictions from the trading system. Mostly it was built around and tested with sequential models and categorical cross-entropy type functions using TensorFlow. Several other loss functions do work that I tested, that Phil tested, but no functional model type capabilities and other things need implemented. When a dev comes, or in the future, if Phil can get back to it, it will be nice. And Luis himself can surely provide help and guidance. Yeah, machine learning is definitely something that I originally intended on helping out with, but I've picked up other parts of the project, and currently I'm really interested with the decentralized exchanges, so I'm going to try and work on that. And actually, damn, I'm running out of time. Taking a lot longer to do this walkthrough. But I figured there's been a lot of new things in the project, and these tutorials have been updated a lot since I last did them, so I'm glad that I did get to go through this today with all of you. And maybe I will edit this down eventually and make it a much more polished walkthrough video. Anyway, man, this is still taking forever. I thought my my server was a little bit quicker than this. So I guess this highlights that if you can not corrupt your data, it is very valuable. So otherwise you'll sit here wasting precious time re-downloading data over and over, as I have. I wish that had finished. Excuse me. But anyway, we can go check out demo.superalgos.org. No! Why is this happening? Man, I even set up monitoring on this to make sure that this didn't happen again. I need to give the demo website some love. I also haven't updated that demo website in several months. And so anyway, back to the tutorial. So this is telling you to run the task first, then go to the backtesting session, and then hopefully you'll see a buy and a sell happen here once it actually is done and capable of running. We are still waiting for data. Thought I already had all this data downloaded. And now we play the waiting game. I guess another thing to mention also is the amount of time it takes to run a backtesting session can change based on your time range that you set. So obviously running over more days or months will take longer to calculate all the buys and sells and everything. The time frame itself also plays in, because obviously if I'm going from even the single day like we're doing right now, September 1st to the 2nd, if I'm doing it at a 1 minute time frame, it has to calculate 60 more per hour than if I were doing the 1 hour time frame, which would only have to do 24. So if you are running this on slower hardware, like a Raspberry Pi, the amount of time that it's going to take, oh, hey, we finally caught up to our resistances and supports, and the backtesting session was able to run because it had the data it needed. So now we are done. And you can tell by our yellow text here and the circle going around the task node that the task is still running, but we want to stop it. And let's see here, our data is still going, so we'll keep that going. But now, again, Control Shift up arrow to go up, down arrow, put this bar at the bottom, and you can click and drag it too if you want. But now, check out all these cool limit buy orders and limit sell orders that we have here. So the green silver bullets. So we buy, finally hit, and then the rest of our strategy takes over and tries to sell, and it finally sells for a very small profit. And I'll let you read all the cool text here and describe what's going on, because it's more about, less about the functionality and how to use the product, and more about just kind of the features that it has. So now this part is talking about how to go through the actual trading strategy, trading system, and modify it, and also just understand what this generic one is set up to do. Or not generic, but this getting started tutorial trading system is doing. So we have formulas, which need to evaluate to a number, essentially. And then we have conditions, and these need to evaluate to Boolean, true or false. And the seller does basically the same thing, but in reverse. And you can, depending on your strategy, you may be selling as your open stage and buying as your close stage. But generally, you're going to be buying first and selling last. Some more information about what's going on. And let's see, what are they talking about? The target rate. Here's the target rate value. I think that's in there. Yeah, trading current position, exit target rate value, I think is what that says behind there. Rate value. So we have trading system, trading engine, trading current, position, exit target rate. And then we want to get the value. So we actually copy the node path. That gives us the exit target rate value. And that's what this is telling you. Copy node path to get the actual, the full string here, which is what we want to put in that formula node. Cool. So they reset this. They want you to turn on the current position layer in the trading. So this is the trading engine menu. And I want to find current position of episode strategy, current position on. And now as I scrub over the chart, I can see values showing up in the design space. Pretty cool. And here they are with the cool animation. So they're saying turn on the limit buy orders layer. Limit buy orders. You can see we get information popping up. And you can do the same thing in here too. Copy the node path, and then you can use your new rate value in your trading system. Pretty cool. And then it's going to walk you through doing a live production trading task, which we will need to, if you didn't see, I expanded the production trading tasks. We're going to need an API key for Binance US. And you can see this, tough to see on the video, but there's a very faint gray trail going off in the distance, which lets you know that this is a reference is attached to essentially this exchange account key that is in our crypto ecosystem and the crypto exchange Binance US. Excuse me. And then this looks very familiar to the backtesting session. You'll want to set up your initial values for the session base, which is BTC, and then set up your initial value for your quoted asset, which is USDT in this case. So starting with $100, we want to set our time frame to, time frame to the 1 minute, which is what this trading system is designed for. And you'll notice that the window, the time range, that's the name of it. The time range node is deleted because we're essentially going to run starting now until we stop it in the future. Slippage and fee structure and snapshots and heartbeats, we don't need to worry about right now. That's cool. User defined parameters. But this is where if you need to change the maker taker fees, and those all just kind of go into the internal calculations to make sure it's accounting for the money properly. And these slippage numbers we don't need to worry about. Just leaving them at default is perfectly good enough. So once you have your account key entered into this node, you configure, you'll copy this code out or this string out, and you'll have a probably, I can't remember, I think it's a 64 character key that you'll get from your exchange. And the secret, obviously I'm just typing in dummy things. Oops. But these need to be real values taken from your exchange. Save. And then you can hit start, run, wait for your yellow text to show up on the trading process instance, and then hit run again on the actual trading session, and off you go. Bob is your uncle. And again, you are in charge of your money. You're in charge of your accounts. You're in charge of the software. This is just a tool. Very powerful tool, but everything's at your own risk. And none of this is financial advice. So here's some more talking about how to set up your parameters, make sure that you have enough money in your account to actually do the trading. And talking about how to set up keys and make it secure. Put in your keys, which you already talked about, and make sure your data session is running, because when we're doing live data, we need to have all the freshest data to work with. When we're doing a live trading session, we need to make sure we're evaluating all the latest data. We need to make sure that the market data tasks are running. And then as soon as these are up to 100%, we'll be good to go. And I'm not going to do this because I'm not going to put live keys in. But then you'll see, just like on the backtesting session, that you'll see a date and a percentage of completion, which will increase, but again, it's going to just run forever. And it'll let you know, that it gets triggered essentially every minute, waiting for this to go. And in your console, you'll see logs showing up, showing that things are being calculated and checking. And then you can go and look at your exchange to see the history coming in and out. Some exchanges do not give full buy and sell order history, only the ones that were actually processed, but Binance does show all canceled orders. So this is obviously showing Binance. And then you can keep an eye on it by looking at your live trading window and seeing the orders pop up. But again, our data isn't up to date, and I'm not going to run a live trading session. And this is just saying, probably don't want the default trading system to continue to run. Probably going to lose your money. So turn it off once you are comfortable and you understand that it works. And then you can search for things in the docs and keep learning more. Talking to you about how to get around in the docs with these tabs. And there's a lot of other tutorials to go through as well. And a lot of other features that are coming in. Definitely check us out on GitHub. Join us on Telegram. Join us in Discord. Follow us on Twitter. I think there's a Facebook group somewhere. You can buy the token. You can earn the token. PancakeSwap, BuySwap, and 1inch all have the token, have liquidity pools set up, and are ready for you to swap. And I think these two documents talk about DNS could not. Superalgos.org. Oh, yeah. Oh, that's why. The link is broken. https://https//. All right, that's a bug. And this one did the same thing too. The colon got stripped out. That's interesting. But yeah, follow the Medium blog because there's a lot of good information on here. It gets posted a couple times a week. And these usually show up in Reddit as well. So join us in Reddit. Feel free to ask questions and stuff in there. And yeah, all that good stuff. Yes, obviously there's scammers everywhere. Be vigilant. And then this is pointing out all of the other tutorials that are out there. And most of these have their own, or some of them have their own plugin workspace to load up and go through a new tutorial. So check them out. A lot of the other ones are obviously setting up different trading bot layers, how to modify, deep dive into how to modify a trading system and create one from scratch. The Hello World tutorial is basically like a blank slate where you get to start everything from scratch. Installing a new market is very interesting. And I think I've gone over that before, but definitely check out that tutorial. Custom charts, once you become a power user, if you're, really familiar with trading, I'm sure you want things to look a certain way. You can do a lot with the charting space, a lot more than I know how to do. And then definitely make your user profile, get tokens, and participate in the governance system. So that's it. I'm gonna move on from tutorials now because I wanted to do a little bit of work. So yeah, there's more tutorials. So let's, I wanted to close out of these and hopefully I didn't just totally mess that up. And I'm out of beer. Are these still running? I did save. This should take a second to sync up. And there we go. Yep, this is still running. Almost done. So again, as I just mentioned, or as I mentioned before, we want to make sure all these data tasks are done before I close out of everything so that we don't corrupt the candle data and indicator data on the system. All right, it's done. Everything is up to date. So let's stop. Wait for this to stop. And that looks like it did it. Now we can close out of that. We can close out of that. And I want to swap over to my code here real quick. So what I am working on is taking the proof of concept bot that I built to trade the Superalgos token on PancakeSwap and bring that logic into Superalgos. And I thought the first thing I would do is actually set up the market or the exchange nodes. So I am going through I created my own project under the projects folder called Decentralized Exchanges, because the traditional exchanges or centralized exchanges use a library called CCXT, which has its own devoted team. I think it may be one or mainly one person that has a lot of information about how to use the APIs for many different centralized exchanges like Binance and Coinbase to trade the data or trade currencies. But these decentralized exchanges operate much differently. And because they operate so much differently, I thought it made sense to just break them out into their own project. But a lot of things are very similar in terms of I want them to kind of show up in the same area under the crypto ecosystem. And I want them to have a lot of the similar functions, but there are going to be some differences. Like instead of having an API key, you're going to have your wallet that you use to connect. Excuse me. So a lot of this work right now is being done in these JSON dictionary or JSON object files to set up the different nodes and the different actions that can happen on them. And maybe I can kind of show this off. I don't know if it's going to node platform. So you can see here I have my decentralized exchange type. These are the menu items that are going to show up on the node where I can configure this. Configure this. Did I type that? Guess that is configure this. I may have typed in there by accident. Excuse me. Add new exchange assets, add exchange markets, add exchange accounts, delete the entire object. And then you have other things like where it can attach, what the proper children are, and if there are alternative icons. I haven't actually put these icons in place yet, but these are the 3 exchanges that I'm going to start with. PancakeSwap being first. So if I change back here and load up my local host, we can see if this works. I am going to, this is probably not going to work because I'm missing a lot of things. But on the crypto exchanges, we should see a add decentralized exchange. And I changed this text to say add centralized exchange. So I might add crypto exchanges, and I don't have an icon here. So we have add centralized exchange and add decentralized exchange. And my actions aren't working because I didn't add any action. But essentially what I'm planning on, excuse me, I'm ready for bed, is that the exchange assets, would essentially just allow you, I'm thinking don't do add missing assets because I don't think that there's any way to, I don't know, there may be a way. But there are probably hundreds or thousands of tokens out there. And so you don't want to necessarily have hundreds or thousands around one node here in the window. You'll probably just want to be able to add a couple of your own tokens as you need to. And so what I'm thinking is, so I'd want to add one like SA, Superalgos, and I'd configure it with the code name of SA. But really what I want is the contract. And where I would get that contract would be by going to BSC scan, typing in Superalgos, and then you have this contract here at the top. You can copy it, and then you would paste in your contract address. And so that's how we would know that this is your SA node. And then let's say you wanted to do BNB, excuse me, man. So we would take our wrapped BNB address. And again, we would do like WBNB and our contract. But anyway, that's kind of what I'm thinking. So then, now that we've got our two contracts set up, we would add our missing markets, which did not fetch markets. That might be because these are kind of funky. But anyway, I would add missing markets, and it would create a BNB SA market for me. My user assets, I'm thinking that this would be used to query your wallet for all the different tokens that you have in your wallet and show you values of those. And then user keys would be essentially user wallet. And then you would set up either the private key or the mnemonic to actually import the wallet, essentially. And so you would have a wallet object that came from that. So yeah, anyway, that's where I'm starting. And unfortunately, it didn't get that far, so I can't demo too much at the time. Go back to our code. So I have my crypto exchanges JSON, which represents this node here. So that's where I added the decentralized exchange and changed the text to say centralized exchange. Then we have our decentralized exchange, which correlates with this crypto exchange node. And you can see it has configure, add exchange assets, markets, accounts, and the delete. So when we go back to our code, we would have configure, add an object, add the exchange assets, add the markets, add the accounts, and delete. Excuse me. I'm going to have to call it. And then just kind of moving down the line. So our add exchange accounts correlates to the exchange accounts JSON. And we set up that node. And then we have our user account, which was a node under the exchange accounts, and the user assets, the exchange assets. Asset. So yeah, this is setting up different icons for the different coins. But essentially I was trying to get these UI items to work first. And then these action functions, I need to get all that set up. So yeah, maybe next week I'll have a little bit more to show off. I thought it would be kind of interesting to see, kind of to show off kind of where I was and where I'm going. But anyway, I think that's it for the night. I need to go get some sleep. Again, thanks for tuning in if you're a brand new watcher. Thanks to everybody who has subscribed. And yeah, find this recording on YouTube tomorrow. Follow me on Twitter. And check me out. Check out the Telegram for Superalgos, the Discord for Superalgos, the Reddit subreddit for Superalgos. Lots of information up on the Medium blog. I think there's a Facebook group. I mean, there's all kinds of stuff. Come in, hang out, use the software, contribute back to the software, and get tokens. So yeah. Catch you on the flippy floppy. Hopefully I'll have more next week. Good night and Godspeed.